Hi, guys, and welcome to SnipBit, the podcast to show that you can be successful in your chosen field, whatever your background or start in life. Today, I'm massively honoured to welcome Alistair Brownlee, Olympian and legendary triathlete, the only athlete to hold 2 Olympic titles in triathlon, 2-time world champion, 4-time European and Commonwealth champion. And with his brother Johnny, they were the first brothers on the podium in an individual sport since 1908. Alistair, thank you so much for being on SnipBit. Really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
No, you're so welcome. So, do you think your background and upbringing were a factor in what you've achieved?
Yeah, they were definitely a factor in what I achieved. I was very lucky in lots of reasons. I think one of the most important ones that I had a mum who was a swimmer and a dad who was into his running and cycling. And my mum, from a young age, took me, well, both of us, down to the swimming club. And my dad was keen to take us out running and just generally being active. And that sounds really significant, but I actually think probably more important was the fact that there was just a kind of two kind of important kind of values that were brought up with. One was just to be active and enjoy being active, and that meant our weekends were out, like walking in the Yorkshire Dales or and all over in various places, and exploring, climbing up hills, going for bike rides, and that was fantastic. And I think the second one was that kind of hard work and persistence pays off, and really, yeah, our parents definitely talked to both of us that in a sporting context, but really that was definitely more in a academic, do your schoolwork kind of context. But it carried over for me to, yeah, doing well at sport and triathlon, would come from working hard consistently over a long period of time.
No, that's brilliant. And was it helpful to have your brother pushing you so that you were competing against each other?
Very helpful. It's his analogy, not mine, but he's described it a bit like a spring. When I ever got to he got too close to me in terms of that gap, I would push on and try and train a bit harder and go a bit harder. And if I ever got a bit too far away from him, it would give him a bit of a kick up the proverbial backside to chase me. So and I think that was very important for both of us.
Brilliant. I can imagine. I have a sister and we're very close and we've always been very competitive.
Yeah, we are. Well, actually, we're obviously very competitive when we need to be.
Yeah.
Now in the rest of life, we're actually really not competitive. We just kind of, if it's like playing a game or something, we just don't care. I think our competition is kind of been beaten out of us.
So was there a point in your career that you knew you were going to be successful?
It happens over a long, slow kind of period of time. But there was a few. I guess the first one, when I was 18, I won the World Junior Triathlon Championships. And then I simply thought, yeah, wow, I'm not a million miles away here. And then a few, so that's 2006, feels like a long time ago now. In 2008, I qualified and raced at for Beijing Olympic Games. And I was actually, came 12th in the race, but I was leading kind of halfway through the run, and I was like, wow, if I can just extend my ability to race for that extra 2 or 3 kilometers at the end, I'll be there with the best in the world. And how exciting will that be? And then the year after that, in 2009, I actually won the World Championship, winning World Series races along the way. And the first one of those that was in Madrid, across the line, and had won the World Series against most of the best guys there in the world. And I was like, yeah, well, I'm kind of here, and that was a big jump for me.
Amazing. So you've talked a lot about mindset in terms of growth mindset, and has that been hugely important to you in your career?
Yeah, growth mindset. It gets used and banded around a lot in different ways now. I think it does mean slightly different things to different people. Yeah, for me, and it is a bit cliched, but it's kind of the importance of the process. You know, you can't think, right, it's let's imagine it's a windy, rainy and wet Wednesday afternoon in Leeds or something, and you know you're tired, you've already trained in the morning, you're going out training in the afternoon. um, you know, you can't motivate yourself for hundreds of days like that in the lead up to a big race or the Olympic Games. It kind of has to be about the process, about really enjoying day in, day out, doing what you're doing, trying to improve, trying to be the best athlete you can be. And yeah, for me, that's what's important. That just kind of the kind of satisfaction from grinding out the process of training. And I think that actually probably comes from lots of reasons. One of bases, and one of them is what you might term a growth mindset, in terms of yeah, just kind of maximizing yourself daily. Other people just enjoy the routine. Some people it's yeah about habit and doing that. And yeah, for me, it's a combination of all of them sometimes, I think, and sometimes just enjoying being tired at the end of the day, knowing that I've done all I can.
Yeah. Well, it's clearly working for you, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, at the moment, thank you. Yeah.
So do you have like a typical day that you can describe to us?
Different days are all a bit different, to be honest. So it does depend a bit, depending on what I'm doing. But you know, so in total in a week, it can be between 30 to 35 hours of triathlon training, with gym and massage and various things on top of that.
Mhm.
And so a long day, for example, is quite often a Wednesday where I'll swim for an hour and a half in the morning, go for a run for kind of an hour and a quarter, and then ride my bike for 3.5 hours plus in the afternoon. So that's kind of a lot of hours in one day.
Yeah,
Normally I have an easy day every week, which is on a Friday, which is a lot less. And doing various things like this, like doing a podcast in between with my legs up recovering. So yeah, it's every day. Every day is a bit different for me. And yeah, to be honest, the long days are actually not the hardest days. The hardest days are the ones where it's really intense and you've got to push yourself um, as much as you can.
amazing. So in terms of your career so far, what's been your biggest challenge and how do you think you've overcome it?
It's not been one particular challenge. I think it's just been injury on the whole. You know, injury is without a doubt the toughest part, I think, of almost any athlete's career. It's really, really hard to cope with. You know, takes away doing what you love, doing what's kind of the focus of your life, your job, sometimes even your social life, because you do it with friends and people around you. So yeah, dealing with that.
So you've mentioned your parents and obviously your brother, but what's been the driving force behind your success and who's been your biggest inspiration?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's in truth, it's lots of people. It's hard to say one person. You know, Johnny's very significant in that, and as are my parents and other family members. But there's literally an army of people who I owe a massive debt of gratitude to in lots of different ways. Teachers at school, one particular teacher who took me out running, you know, hundreds of lunchtimes through my school career, you know, made a difference, just gave me that passion and love of being outdoors and running and training. A swimming coach that I met when I was younger, some friends that I used to go kind of cycling with on evenings and weekends. So I'm really, really lucky to have had yeah, loads of great people to train with, and that's been kind of crucial to my crucial to getting where I am today, I think.
That's amazing. So what would you like to be remembered for?
I I'd like to remember for being a ferocious athlete, obviously, and you know, a ferocious, successful athlete who you know, raced hard and I guess won a lot, and you know, kind of raced with his heart on his sleeve. But I think outside sport, I'd like to be remembered for leaving a legacy in triathlon that resulted in more young people doing triathlon at the end of the day.
Brilliant. So if you were stood in front of your teenage self now, what advice would you give yourself and why?
I'd patience. It sounds boring, but yeah, I'd say patience is really important. Getting better at any skill and endurance sport is just day after day of consistent training, getting out the door and doing what you need to do. And as a teenager, that's probably the last thing you want to hear, I imagine.
So what are you up to now, and where can we find you?
At the moment, I'm actually in Florida, and I'm just preparing for a race that's going to be in a couple of weeks' time. In Florida, it's a long distance race, so it's actually a 2-kilometer swim, an 80-kilometer bike, and an 18-kilometer run. So it's going to take about 3 hours ish. And yeah, I'm training hard for that, and then after that, I'm going to have a little bit of a break and be home for Christmas.
Brilliant. So where can people find you if they want to follow you, Alistair?
You can find me on all the normal places: Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and various other places, I think.
That's fantastic. Alistair, thank you so much. I've really appreciated you taking the time to speak to us today. It's been brilliant.
No, absolute pleasure. Thank you.